So hopefully everybody can see my screen. My name is Marcy Bishop Lilly. I am the career coach for CVED and the College of Music. And my co-host is with us, Vinod Shrestha, who is the Foundation's Director of CVAD as well. And we have partnered up to create our career roundtable sessions for students to come and listen to us kind of talk about careers, the art industry right now. I know it's really crazy. I have some news about that. And we'll also have some guest faculty and professors come into these sessions to talk with you about different career fields. Some of you may not have a career goal or any kind of career in mind. And so by bringing in some of these employers and guest faculty and people that are already in the industry, this may give you a little bit of an idea of what you would like to pursue. So this is our first of 4 sessions. This will be our first session and will run until December. And normally these sessions will be on Fridays of the first of the month, and I'll have a calendar that I'll show you later in the slides. But our goal is to get our first and second year students thinking about their careers and steps that you can take right now to achieve those goals. And again, if you don't have any career goals, that's okay. These sessions, we will have those guest speakers coming and talking to you about various pathways and career fields, and these are going to be creative career fields. Let me go ahead and get to slide 2. This is our agenda today. So we will be introducing ourselves, Vinod and I. We also will have the calendar of sessions and the guest faculty. And we want this to be like a really casual environment for you guys. So if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to submit those questions in the chat, and we will answer those after the session. But we'll talk about the calendar of sessions and the guest faculty who will be in on those sessions. We have some topics that we would like to focus on in this first session. I've gotten a lot of questions about, the art industry and the pandemic and, what's going on with that and what kind of jobs are available. So I'll kind of talk a little bit about that. Flexibility and adaptability are actually 2 of the top skills that students need to have right now. And I'll dive a little bit more into that as well. I also have a few steps that you can take to prepare yourself prior to graduation, what you can do right now as an art student, and what kind of experience that you can gain and work to. So what you can do right now, I also have creative skills that you need, and some that you can work on while you're getting your undergrad degree as well. I'll also introduce a podcast of the month. I don't know if everybody likes podcasts. I think it's a really new, cool way of getting information out there if you're not really like a book person like me. Let me let the student in. So I'll have a podcast of the month. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit those to the chat and we will get to those, okay? All right, so we have Vinod here, and Vinod, if you want to kind of introduce yourself and kind of talk about your resume and your background, I'll hand that over to you.
Sure. Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Vinod Shrestha, and I know some of you, at least I know Asia has come and talked to me several times. And it's good to see her again. I came to UNT in 2017 as the first foundation director. Since then, we have reorganized the curriculum. If you are taking foundations classes this semester, you will see the courses are no longer drawing 1, drawing 2, design 1, design 2. They are more conceptually, thematically based, both making and intellectual critical thinking courses. I'm hoping that will excite students to do things as soon as they come to school. So I came to Texas via Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Alabama, Tennessee. So this is my resume from 2017. I have not updated, as you can see, on 2017 forward. There's not much except one line. The goal when Marcy became career coach a year and a half ago, I believe. Am I correct, Marcy?
A year.
A year ago. So we started talking about how do we help our students in CVAT to start thinking about career, because in a creative field, except for a few design field, there aren't really clear-cut career that you can take, right? You can, if you're an art education major, maybe you can teach high school or elementary school, middle school. If you are a comm design, there might be comm design and graphic designer work, or fashion designer, or interior designer. But even in those fields, sometimes the careers are not clear cut. And I recognize, based on my own experience, I came to art very late, so I had to flounder a lot to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. So based on that, I thought it'll be really good to have a head start on thinking about career, even though you may have just finished your high school, coming to college, and just wanting to enjoy 4 years of a college life and learn and get education and get degree. But then that 4 year passes pretty quickly. And so our goal is to sort of start having you guys start thinking, what career do you want to go? Because if you are not successful as a graphic designer, or if you don't get into the graphic design program, what will be your next step? So all of these things needs to be thought through, and have sort of a backup plan, so that you are not floundering and then worrying about what to do next. So this first session, will be sort of an introduction to what is career, how do you start planning for goal, and I'll try to help based on my own experience what that looks like. Mashi.
Awesome. Yeah. There are different ways to approach your career pathway. And speaking from someone who was not really clear on their career pathway, me, I can kind of talk about my background and how I got to where I am now. So I graduated from UNCP, University of North Carolina at Pembroke, with an art education degree. And I fought my mother tooth and nail to not be an art education major because I did not want to teach, especially younger children. That was just not something I was interested in. But we see that I went ahead and I got that art education degree. And I'm actually really happy that I did that, because getting that art education degree really set me up, gave me some really great experience in the classroom, outside of the classroom. It really helped me with my presentation skills and just being comfortable with talking to people. So I do have that art education background. But yeah, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with that. I was really interested in just being an artist. I was really into my practice and just making as many paintings as possible. But I know, like, a lot of us painting and drawing students are really into their artwork and, like, nothing else. So I really wanted to go to graduate school for painting and drawing, and without the education part. I got to my last semester of undergrad, I was student teaching at an elementary school and a high school. I really enjoyed teaching at the high school level, surprising enough, but I just decided, like, this wasn't for me. I really wanted to dive deep into my practice, and I wanted to expand my mind. I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't know anyone. I wanted to just develop my practice and my career. And so I applied to a bunch of other graduate schools. I got into UNT. Thankfully, I got an assistantship. I worked in the wood shop for a while. I was a teaching assistant for the drawing department for about 2 years. And I feel like these experiences really helped me grow as an artist, and also helped me grow into the career that I really wanted. And so I got into UNT. I was painting and drawing, taking classes, being an assistant, and then I got the opportunity to be a teaching assistant. And so I was teaching design 1, drawing 1, design 2, drawing 2, and this was really enjoyable for me. I really love teaching studio art to students. And so that kind of clicked with me. I was like, well, I don't like kids, but I really enjoy teaching college students. They want to be here, they want to better themselves, and they are so good at listening. And so that for me was just like a light bulb. And so I decided, like, I'm either going to teach college or I'm going to work in higher education, regardless of what I'm doing, whether it's teaching or non-instructional. So I was a teaching assistant for a little bit. I graduated with my MFA degree in 2016. I was an adjunct for a little while. I worked as an adjunct for about 3-4 years, and I'm still an adjunct at Tarrant County College, but I teach online art appreciation there. And I've had a lot of really crazy, odd jobs in between. I was working at a wine and design, kind of like painting with a twist type business. And that also prepared me for being in front of people and talking to people and instructing someone who has no art skills whatsoever and helping them create something beautiful and that they want to hang in their house or, whatever, maybe a gift or something. And so my experience, job related, has always been creative. Like, I've always sought a creative job, no matter what I'm doing. Now, I was a server in the past. I was a bartender in the past, whatever you have to do to pay the bills. But I was also pursuing a creative career as well. And talking about the customer service industry, I did that for about 10 years. I was a server in undergrad and throughout graduate school and beyond. And I think that looking back at that, it really prepared me for how to deal with difficult people. And so, any experience is good experience. So, if the opportunity arises and you are serving and you're looking for creative jobs, please take any of those opportunities. Don't short yourself anything. But this is my resume. It's kind of like a hybrid. I got this template off of Canva, and I'm showing you our slides through Canva. I made those. And I think that Canva is a really user-friendly way to find templates, make presentations. If you are on social media, you can create all of these different kind of posts. So I would highly recommend Canva if you're just starting out with building a resume. I would start with something very simple, contemporary, easy to read. So mine is a little bit of a hybrid between a resume and a CV. I do have some publications and awards. However, you won't see any of my exhibition history on this, and that will be part of your CV. And I kind of go over a little later about what the difference between a resume is and a CV. But I have all of my experience on here. I also have my social media. So if an employer is like looking at my resume, they'll see that I have a LinkedIn, they'll see that I have a website, they'll see I have Instagram. So my presence online is there. And make sure that you are promoting yourself and your website and social media alike. But here are a few pictures of me in my past careers as an artist. But I got this position at Billings Productions, and they're a company out of McKinney, Texas, and they build these very large-scale animatronic dinosaurs that kind of move and make these noises. And actually, I found this job posting on Craigslist when Craigslist was a thing. I don't even know if Craigslist is still around, but I found this posting on Craigslist. I applied, I interviewed, and I got it. And I really love this job. It was super silly. I enjoy being in the studio with different artists. There were a lot of sculptors around. I learned some mold making techniques. I learned some painting techniques like airbrushing, painting dinosaurs, attaching the fur, attaching feathers. And I also learned how to repair them and some of the technical issues that would arise when they're not making the noise that they should be making or moving the way they should. So I got a lot of experience in that. And the best part of that job was I got to travel. They sent me to Japan. I was actually in Japan like 4 years ago with them, taking down a show in Yokohama. And they sent me to California, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. They sent me all over, and that was like truly the best part of the job. And yeah, and before that, I worked at Wine and Design for about a year or two, again, just to get some of that teaching experience, being in front of people, and that was a really fun job as well. So my suggestion for you guys is to seek these creative opportunities, anything, and it may not be like so direct into your career or what you're kind of thinking about, but this can definitely shape your career in the future. And I also wanted to mention, as a career coach for CVAD, you can set up as many appointments with me as you want. I do have a hyperlink on some of these slides, so if you see like an underlined word, you can click on that and it'll send you to Handshake or wherever the website may be. But the types of appointments that I normally see are students who don't really know what they can do with their major, so we kind of talk about that, discuss that, look at different opportunities that are available now so that you can prepare in the future for what your dream job will look like. I also review resumes and CVs. I'm working with professional practices currently, meeting with students every day to discuss their resume, their CV. Also website and LinkedIn review, something that is very specific to art students. I know that most of you will have to make a website of some sort. So if you want a second pair of eyes, I would always suggest a website or a CV review. Some things we can also look at are job search strategies. I have a few resources and links to send students, and we can kind of look at jobs together and really see how your skills align with the job description. And headshots, professional headshots. Right now our schedule for those are it's a little different, obviously, but we do headshots, and I think this is a really great thing to have, especially if you have like a LinkedIn, a website, you can post your profile picture. So those headshots are going to be professional, and you want to showcase your professionalism, especially in your website and LinkedIn. So it's really easy to schedule an appointment with me. If you go into Handshake, I believe all students do have a Handshake account. You just have to activate it. They'll send you an email, you click on the link, and then you're good to go. But this is kind of what your profile will look like. To the right upper hand corner, you'll see the Career Center. So you'll just press that. And then you'll just choose the appointment type. So you'll say Career Advising, College of Visual Arts and Design, and then you'll just pick a day and time to meet with me. Moving along, we have our Career Roundtable session calendar. So today is our first session. Our next session will be on October the 2nd. And we will have Peter Highland, who is the director of the Onstead Institute, with us. And his background is very broad as well. He has experience with grant writing. He's the director of the Onstead Institute here. They have connections with CVAD and K through 12 public schools. And so if anybody is interested in art education or wants to know more about that, I would definitely tune into that session, because we also have Kathy Brown, who is a professor here at CVAD, of K through 12 as well. And I also have a little podcast of the month. Our third session will be Troy Abel and Nathan McCown. And we thought that this would be really great to have these two guests together because they are in the industry of user experience and user design. And I think right now that's a really hot career to have, and it pays very well. So we'll have them in session 3. So we'll talk with Troy about user experience, and we'll give you a little introduction on that. And we'll also have Nathan from Credera, which is one of the top best companies to work for here in Texas. And they are actively recruiting students for jobs and internships. So if they have any available, I've already told him, like, you know, talk with our students. So he will be in that session. I'll also introduce the Mean Green Mentor Program. And this program is for students to be paired with alumni who are in the industry that the student is majoring in or is interested in. So you'll get a little bit of a firsthand experience about the industry, and your mentor can also advise you in the steps to take in order to achieve your career goals as well. So session 4, this one will be in December. We'll have Connie Hatchett and Laura Evans. And Connie Hatchett is the museum education manager at the Kimball Art Museum. I have a lot of students who are interested in museum studies or gallery work or museum education. And so I think it would be really great to have her in this session to answer any of those questions you guys may have about museums and galleries and things like that. Laura Evans is also education related, but she also has a certification in art crime. And I'm very interested in that myself. So we have invited her to come and speak with you guys about certifications in art crime and art K through 12. And then I'll give you a little reminder about that Mean Green Mentor Program. But I'm so happy about this. I'm really excited to share this with you all. I'm really happy about the faculty and the guest speakers that we have, and I'm hoping that it will help you at least find something that you're interested in if you're not really sure about what you want to do next. I want to give you as many options as possible so that we can help you get to where you want to be. So the first thing I want to talk about is the pandemic and the art industry. Right now, you know, things are not looking good, but things are not looking good for all industries, you know, except for Amazon. Amazon's doing totally fine right now, but you know, the other industries are lacking a little bit. But over 4 months, the Texas arts economy has been hit hard, and that's not a secret. A lot of people have lost their jobs or been furloughed. There's a decline in sales, and so it's really not looking too good right now, but we will prevail. There are strategies that are set to help our economy and our creative economy. So what needs to happen is local, private, and public partnerships between municipal governments. So we do have to have some level of government programs and sponsorships helping us. So the local, public, private partnerships between municipal governments, arts and cultural organizations, economic development and community groups, philanthropy and private sectors, nonprofits, support from federal and state levels of government, national philanthropy, and large corporations have to get involved in order for us to rebuild our creative economy. Now, some ways that they can do this is by sourcing creatives locally. So with reduced demands for large cultural events as a result of social distancing, there's an opportunity for communities to shift to locally sourced culture. Communities can develop strategies to hire local creatives and create online portals and platforms to allow residents and businesses to hire local artists, musicians, and performers for a smaller scale local event. And so bringing in that conversation to this next slide, I met with Pangea app, and this is a new platform for students who are looking for work experience. And this is kind of like a contract experience, like it's not like a regular job. You kind of work on projects and you get paid for them. And so I met with Pangea, and this is a new platform. It's kind of like Upworks, if you've ever heard of that. But employers will hire you for a certain job. There are some internships. This is all remote. Some of them are part-time. Some are internships. But they told me they hire students from around the U.S., join thousands of other college students from schools, and I think this is a really great platform for students to kind of check out, because you can work project to project. You can put all of this experience on your CV or on your resume, and you can also build your portfolio too. So I would check that out. I have the link up top. Now, I think that you have to download that app in order to be able to kind of like search different opportunities, but make your profile, make it strong. So if you're interested in doing this and you want me to look at your profile before you apply to any of these jobs, you can definitely send me that resume or your CV. But I think this is a great way to kind of get your feet wet if you don't really have any work experience, or if you're looking for an internship. Check it out. So we all know there was a shift between the art world before and the art world now, and it definitely looks really different. I know that the museums are letting in people, but it's not at full capacity, which is fine. But we're kind of grappling with that. There's a lot of shows that were canceled. Some are virtual now. But art is a very social thing, and it's important. People have to have it. It's a cultural thing too. Art isn't about professionalism, efficiency, insurance, and safety. It's about eccentricity, risk, resistance, and adaptation. And I kind of wanted to talk about adaptation as well, as being one of those really sought after soft skills right now, flexibility and adaptation. And as a student, I'm sure that you have some of that experience already. When the pandemic hit, you guys were kind of like thrown into the online virtual education realm, right? And so you had to adapt really fast. And that is what employers are looking for: adaptation, being thrown into a situation where you're not familiar with, but you work with it. You do your thing. You figure out a creative way to do your online work and your life. So it's very important that you utilize that, put that on your resume and on your CV, because you have experienced that. Some things that you can do right now, if you do have a social media, and if you don't, I suggest you start involving in that. But do a social media audit. Is your information the same across all platforms? Now, you can have different social media accounts. One can highlight, your artwork. It can kind of serve as like a digital portfolio. It's easily accessible and shareable. But make sure that your information is the same across all platforms. Think about your brand. What kind of artist are you, and what things are you sharing on your social media? Do the links to your social media accounts work? Make sure that your website is up and running before you put that on your CV or your resume. Make sure that it looks good and it's presentable. Are your bios strong and accurate? And this is kind of a thing for LinkedIn. Make sure that your bio is strong, and you're putting your past experience up there, and maybe throw in a few keywords depending on what job you're looking for or what your skill set is. Another really good way is to follow your favorite artists. You know, a lot of students will follow, you know, celebrities and artists on Instagram. And I think actually this is a great way to kind of help roadmap your career. You may see this like superstar artists, and I have several that I follow, and it's just amazing. I love seeing their work. I love seeing that, like what they do and what their process is, because it kind of influences me as well. You know, and that's how artists work. They look at things and then they kind of like put it in their head, and then they share it with the world, right? And so they're taking a little bit of everything. So follow your favorite artists on social media, see what they're up to, how many followers do they have, who's following them, and who are they following. This is a great way to help you. And more than likely, the artist will have a link to their website in their bio. So look at their website, and they'll pretty much all have their CV listed. And once you can see their CV, you can kind of look at their exhibition history. You can see where they've shown, how many group shows they've had, how many solo shows, if they've curated things. And this can kind of give you a better idea and also serve as a visual, so that you know exactly like the steps that they took in order to get to where they are. Also create new content. When was the last time you made a time-lapse video of you working on an artwork? People love to see process. People love to look at art. People love to look at pictures. And I think that Instagram is like the perfect place for that. And you can do TikTok as well. Some of you may not like TikTok. Some people do. Like it's a mixed review on both ends. But you know, use these platforms to your advantage. And bring in an audience. Is there something you can teach or share about your process to engage your audience? And that's it. So right now, you know, we don't have galleries to go to. We can't really network as artists like we normally have. And so social media has really kind of taken a hold of that. And so a good way to start networking is to start following artists and if you have any questions, reach out to them. You know, what's the worst that they can say? And just not answer your question, right? So, you know, reach out, ask them questions. Is there something you can teach or share? Share your process, engage with your audience. And in return, you'll be building that audience and selling work, hopefully. But it's really good to have that presence on social media because everything is virtual now. And I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So also document your exhibitions. Like I said before, a lot of the exhibitions are now, you know, going virtual, but don't let that keep you from applying to shows and building that CV and that resume. The more you can put on your CV, the better. The longer your career, the harder it is to remember past shows and exhibitions. So you want to make sure that you update that document very often, because you want to add the date, the title, whether it was a group or solo show. So make sure that you're documenting while it's fresh on the mind. Also update your CV, website, and LinkedIn. So again, your online presence is important now and will continue to be important when maybe when there is an end, right? Hopefully. But when we come out of isolation as well, being online allows you to not only the ability to communicate with those around the world, also shelter in place, but it also creates a way to connect with your audience or with other artists who are going through the same thing as you. Okay, so the more you connect, the more you have a presence online, the better. Another thing that you can start thinking about or doing a little bit of research on is researching jobs, researching careers that you may be interested in. Let's say you want to be a art director in the future, okay? So being an art director, you need to have at least 4 or 5 years to be that higher up art director. So the more you know now, the better, because you can start building your portfolio to meet that goal or meet those years of experience. So research some jobs, go to specific websites or companies or museums that you're interested in working for, and just kind of see like where or what kind of positions they have open, what kind of skills and technologies you should know. Look for some internships and volunteer opportunities for the future. And I do have some information. I saw this the other day on CVAD's website, that the page was CVAD News and Views. And I saw maybe about 7 student employment opportunities that were filled because it's already, a week into the semester. But this could be for future reference. If you want some experience on campus that is within CVAD, make sure that you're checking early before the semester begins so that you can have time to apply to some of those. But there were some really good positions. I know there was like a gallery attendant, a shop assistant, all sorts of positions available. So please make sure that you are, you're researching and you know what's out there, and you know what they're asking for. So they had those positions posted on CVAD's website, but you would have to apply via Handshake. But again, it's super easy to just confirm your account, but that's how you would apply to any student employment opportunity at CVAD. Glasstire is also a really great website for Texas visual artists. I suggest students look at Glasstire. I suggest artists look at Glasstire. I suggest anyone look at Glasstire because I am obsessed with this website. They have internships, they have job postings, they have calls for entries. If after you graduate, you need a studio space, they got you. If you're looking for residencies, they got you. So look at Glasstire for more information regarding jobs and internships. You can also research career pathways by your major and what you can do with your major. And I have that hyperlink right there that's going to send you to a website so that you can kind of like type in your major, and it'll show you the careers that are associated with that major. And so some of the creative skills that you need right now, so these are soft skills, and soft skills cannot be measured and are non-technical abilities. These skills are kind of along the lines of personal skills, right? Or, working with other people, you'll gain these kind of skills. So creativity, of course, and, we are College of Visual Arts and Design. We're all about creativity. So organizations need people who can creatively approach problems and tasks along the way. They need people with creative, out there ideas, okay, for solving these problems and tasks. Collaboration. High functioning teams can accomplish more than any individual, and organizations know that. So collaborations, you may be working with your classmates on an art project, or you may be working with another artist to produce a show of some sort. Vinod and I are working together to create our career roundtable sessions. Collaboration is so important in today's workforce. So collaboration is very sought after. Again, adaptability, we see that word so often. The only constant in life and in art is change. And so you have to be able to adapt and work with what you got. Emotional intelligence, we have emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive, evaluate, and respond to your own emotions and the emotions of others. And this is really important to have, especially if you're working virtually. Emotional intelligence is really hard to gauge if you're talking to a computer screen. It's really hard to kind of gauge that. But I think it's very important. It's very, it's really important skill to have, especially in today's climate where, somebody may be on edge, or you just have to be able to decipher some of those little nuances, and that's what emotional intelligence is, and helping people through that. So we have our hard skills, and these are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify. And so, you will learn some of these skills, or take classes for some of these skills. So we have our top hard skill, which is user design. Organizations need more expertise to help them build more human-centric products and experiences. So user design is one of the top hard skills to have. Companies want their websites and social media to be more accessible and easy for people to use and to function. And so it's a very important skill to have, especially right now when everybody's looking at websites and social media, and organizations want to make it as easy to read as possible. So we also have affiliate marketing. With the decline of traditional advertising and the rise of social media, affiliate marketing is rapidly rising as a must-have hard skill. This kind of marketing leverages companies, partnerships, or influencers that are hyper-targeted to a particular audience. Now, this can be something that might interest you. I know some of you may be studio artists, but maybe have like an interest in marketing. I would really love to see artists promote or market like different art materials, or maybe there's an audience that you could speak to, but that's a hard skill to have right now. Video production, we're running on videos right now, right? Tutorials, TikToks, YouTube videos, things like that. Consumers have an insatiable appetite for video content. 2020 has taught us that. So it makes sense that video production continues to be a priority for companies. And these are only a few of the top hard skills. If you click that top hard link, or the top hard skills link above, it will send you to LinkedIn, and they have a comprehensive list of other skills that you can look at. So there's actually a book that I started reading. I haven't finished it, but I think it would be really good for you guys if you're interested in a reading of some sort, but something to think about. A well-designed life is a life that makes sense. It's a life in which you are, what you believe, and what you do all line up together. And this book, Designing Your Life, How to Build a Well-Lived, Joyful Life, I've only gotten into like the second chapter, but I think it is so fundamentally just great, especially for first and second year students to look at and to think about, and how to plan. And so this book will help you with that. And that link, if you click on that, that'll send you to Amazon, where that book is selling. So if you're looking for a new podcast or reading, I'm trying to get into podcasts right now, and I did find one on Glasstire. Again, that's my favorite website. Art Dirt, the weirdest things about the art world. And some of them were like really crazy. I had no idea about. And there's just so much that I wouldn't think behind the scenes of the art world was going on, but like, I'll let you dive into that. But I think the Art Dirt is really great. And then I have that book again listed right here. Before I turn it over to Vinod with his career map, does anybody have any questions? If you do, please put them in the chat and we will answer them. But I also have a short survey that I will be sending to everyone's MyUNT email address to let us know, is there a certain topic that you really want us to talk about? If you have any questions, let us know how we can improve or what we did really great on. I always love to hear it. So I've done my spiel, and Vinod, you are up, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so you can share yours.
Yep.
But here we go.
I think you have to allow me to share.
Okay.
And guys, yeah, keep on typing questions on the chat so we can come back to it. Okay.
There we go. Can you share?
Yep.
Perfect.
I think so. My connection is slightly slow. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
On the chat? Okay.
We
Yes.
can see
So,
the Zoom screen.
I moved the Zoom screen. I thought okay, I'm gonna
It's all right now.
reshare.
It's all right.
Okay, no, let me show you there. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
It's good. Yes.
Okay, all right. So everything Marcy's talked about, they are very important, and I'm gonna just share the advice I received toward the end of my grad school. And I tried to apply in my first 10 years of my career, and it worked very well. Lately, I haven't been able to follow this advice, but as part of this roundtable thing, it came to my mind that, yeah, I should go back and take a look at what it is, and I should share, and I should start thinking about it. So I'll be thinking along with you guys how to apply these, some of the advice I received. Okay. So basically, in life, you should always ask these three questions: what, why, and how. What do you want, your goal and goal? Why is your values? What is your value on anything you do? Whether you're going to watch a movie, you want to spend time on Facebook, you want to attend a class, you want to pursue a career, the why should always inform what. And how do you get to what? Like you have why, you have what, and how is the everything that Marcy is talking about that falls into not everything, most of the things that falls into how. So I was advised that I should start thinking about this question, so I'm sharing this with you guys. So what? You should start making a list of things. And typically, there's a worksheet I share with the students when I was teaching professional practice class. So I advise you guys to sort of think about what is your short-term goal or long-term goal. A short-term goal could be a year, or it could be even shorter than that, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, and all the way to 10 years if you want that. So make a list of 5, and I put 7 examples there. You want to be a graphic designer, and what's the time frame, and how long it's going to take you to get there. So if you make those a list, and that'll help you sort of formulate and think about the amount of time it might take it to be there. And sometimes you might get there earlier than you anticipated. Sometimes it might be later than you anticipated. But having that time frame in mind is always helpful. And for those of you who don't know, there are a couple of websites, Patreon and Fiverr. They actually allows you to use your skill, any kind of skills you have, and to make money. And I'm saying 3 years because if you are in the first year of the college, it'll take you to build up your skills. But you're already pro in a Photoshop and Illustrator skills. You might want to consider having a Fiverr account where people can give you a job and you can say, I'll do this job for this amount of money. And it's basically sort of like, mutual understanding. And in that website, there are people from all over the world. So make this list. Think about what time frame that you think you're going to take to get to that point. If you want to become an elementary art school teacher, obviously, if you're the second year, it's going to take 4 years. If you're first year, it's going to take 5 years. So be realistic about what your career goal may be in terms of what you want to do in how many, how long time from now. And so then you want to look at why. Why do you want to do that? If you want to become a graphic designer, yes, that gives you some creative juice, or it gives you some satisfaction, but why else? What else is there to become a graphic designer? You always want to have that question answered. Passion itself is not enough. So you want to write down for each of your career goal, why do you want to have that career goal in your life? Like if you want to, for example, I've said here, open a business in 7 years. So why? Why do you want to have a business in your 7 years? So you want to sort of write it down, because why, your values will help you achieve your what. If you don't have an answer to why, then you are not sure what you want to do. And that doesn't mean that you have to have an answer to why every time right now, but this is an exercise for you guys to sort of start thinking. And so what should be more than one. Don't just say, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a art teacher, or I want to do this, but you have to have a backup, like what else you can do, what else you want to do, so that you start planning for both short-term and long-term your goals. Once you have a what and why, then you start thinking about how do you want to do it, right? So you want to become, let's say your goal is to become an elementary art teacher, and you answer, it's going to take 5 years. You answer why you want to do it, because you love kids, you want to teach kids to be excited about their learning, you love hanging out with kids. So then you want to plan what does the how means. In order to become an elementary art school teacher, what do you need? You make a list of things. So how do you get to that point is to get an education. So in order to get an education, what all you need to have, whether how you pay for that, right? Whether it's a loan, family, self, scholarship, gift, other. So what else you need for in order to get there? So you need to start building your network, and Handshake and Marcy is good resources on that. Your professors are a really good network, because they are the one who will be giving you your first references. So you really want to build a relationship with your peers, your professors. Look for any on-campus job that Marcy has talked about. Look for volunteer opportunity that help you to your what with your why, because then this how will help you get there. So you start making a list of like how you, for each one of those what and why, start making a list of things, so how you can get there. And if you don't know how you can get there, you can certainly talk to your career coach, you can talk to your peers, you can talk to your family. So you start making this list that will then help you start thinking in terms of what all you have to do. And I don't have that many slides, so I can, we can end early and then we can have a discussion on how all of this is gonna work out. So next step after that is your action plan. So you have your what, why, and how figured out. So how you then implement that. So for example, start taking concrete steps. So if your goal is to become an elementary art teacher in 5 years, and you're looking at network and what all you have to do. And I'm giving a very basic examples here, but there might be some other better way to do it. And then then you can start checking these action plans, and you review them. If you need to add more action plans, you can add it, and then you again act on it. For example, for network, especially for if you happen to be first year, second year students, your professors are your best network. Your education is beyond, the classroom is a small part of your education. So build a relationship with your professors, visit their office hours, ask about your aspirations, ask questions, how they got there. Let them know that you are always looking for opportunity. And don't ever talk to your professor only about your grades, because grade is not reflective of your success or failure in your career. You can be all A student in your college, but you might end up having a really miserable career. So education is much more than grade. And I can say that in this group because we are here for different reasons. So always make sure that you are talking to your faculty, and always be willing to help others before you ask for help, because that's how you build your network. And then keep track of your timeline for your goal, and always revisit why you want to do, so that this mind map or the career map should be flexible. And each time you have a new fact, each time you have a new information, you want to be willing to go back and then sort of change how your action plan works, or change the how part of your what, why, and how. And seek out career coach. Marcy is a great resource. She is here for you guys. You visit Handshake regularly, and that's where you find all of the UNT and CVAT opportunities. And if your goal is to become an elementary art education, then look out for any kind of teaching opportunity, whether that means working on Denton County, not Denton County, Denton's, what is that, Denton Center for Arts in the downtown. There's Art Center, and you sort of like, go there and volunteer your time. So you always do take action that's going to support your what, because you know your why. And then every time you check your timeline, every 2-3 months, you look at your what's and your how, and do you still have the same kind of answer? If yes, then you are on track. If you have a different kind of answer after checking, rechecking, then your career path is changing. So be flexible on how changing career path will help you. And always every 2 to 3 months, review your action plan and see what you're doing, see how you're doing, and then so reevaluate and then reapply, and always ask these 3 questions: why, what, and how. Those are the crux of everything we do in life, whether that's driving a car to destination, whether that's going to a movie, whether spending time reading a book, whether taking a class, whether getting an education. Everything we do revolves around why, what, and how. Does that make sense? So I don't have much. It's a very short tips that I received in my grad school, which has helped me a lot. My first 10-year goal was to have a tenure track teaching job and have a solo exhibition at the museum, which I did with less than 10 years. But lately, since I moved to Texas, I've been busy with my new job. That's sort of, I'm slacking looking at this. But I think the career roundtable discussion with Marty allowed me to sort of go back to my old files and sort of trying to bring that to you guys. So your education is just a small part. You always have to come back to what, why, and how. And that's about it. I don't have much to share. It's a quick, small worksheet, or how you can get there. And if you follow this what, why, and how, I can say with a 90% certainty, there's no such thing called 100% guarantee, and a lot of things in life that you will be able to achieve your career goals. And so I'm going to stop talking. So if you guys have any questions, if Marcy would allow you guys to talk, we can have a Q&A, because we have plenty of time to do Q&A.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to unmute themselves to ask a question, we'll open that up.
Yeah, and this is a small group, so you guys will have a lot of time from us.
Hello, my name is Diana Gonzalez.
Diana?
And I really like your presentation, because it's not only something I'm learning here, but something that my parents also reminded me. Is like, make a plan of your life, where you're gonna do the small steps and everything. I was wondering.
You can also type your question.
All right. I was wondering, for the hard skills, are there gonna be any workshops this year at UNT that can help us with? Is it only going to be connected with our classes, or are we going to have to do most of that with our own time and do that research more on our own? or is there opportunities at UNT so that we can pick up those skills or something?
Yeah, Diana, that's a really great question. I'm not really sure if there's a specific program or session this semester that kind of dives into that topic, but I would actually love to maybe collaborate with some faculty on that. And maybe that could be in the future, but you may want to check Handshake in the events area because all of our Career Center events are listed there, like our career fairs, any workshops or presentations, and there may be one that is specifically tailored to hard and soft skills. So if you're not familiar with Handshake, let me know, just send me a chat and we can kind of talk about how you can get familiar with that.
Yeah, if I may jump in there, Deanna, there might be some courses. What's your major? What are you pursuing for your degree?
I'm gonna be majoring in new media arts.
Okay, new media arts. There are some courses that might have internship opportunities. If new media don't have internship opportunities, what you want to do is you want to start building your network with your professors, especially your program coordinator. And then you want to say, hey, I'm really interested in trying to do this. Can you point me at your direction? What happens, because you happen to be in a studio department, right? It's a studio-based courses. In a studio area, and that's what my background is too, there isn't a clear career path. For example, in art education, if you get an art education degree, your expectation, at least at the minimum, would be to, hey, I can apply for teaching job in elementary, medium, middle, or high school, right? But in a studio art, if you have a degree in drawing and painting, either you can teach with an undergrad degree, or you can just make a work on your own, and or you can do other job. That's why I said you're what. You know, how do you support yourself as you are trying to make your work? There's nothing wrong with the short-term and long-term goals. That's why I have the how, why, or what. What do you want to do to make money? Like in 6 months, what all you have to do? Because your degree doesn't have a clear career path, because you can't get a movie editing job, for example, right? And then what do you want to do? You want to make a list of that. And if part of that list is to say, I want to work with another artist who also uses new media in their work, and that's a really good starting point, then you have to ask how, right? You have the what part now, and then you have to ask how. Because you are just starting a new media career, you have no idea who are these artists might be. You don't know how to contact them, and your immediate resource becomes your professor, right? And you ask that person, like, I have this goal, now you help me with the how part. Don't tell them that, but you just say, hey, how do I go about, trying to request this kind of opportunities? So then you have a what, you have a how, and then you take an action. Once you get some information from that, go to the library, talk to Marcy, and sometimes department chair also can help you with that. You have to be proactive. That's the basic point of my trying to make here, because your education is just your education. A lot of these degrees doesn't necessarily lend itself to a career, and even if it does, you might realize, hell, I don't want to teach middle school, like Marcy said, and I don't like to teach kids. And then when that happens, you need to have what is next to your what. So you need to have a backup plan of a backup plan of backup plan. And if your goal is to be a professional studio artist, and then have that as your major goal, major what, and then have other whats to support that big what. So you want to have a short-term whats leading to big term, a long-term what, that is to be a studio artist. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah. Does that help you?
I'm 18.
No, I said, does that help you?
Oh, sorry. Yes, that does help me.
Okay.
It does help me.
Marcy?
And Diana, I want to say that new media is such a broad area, and I know that you guys are kind of learning different technologies and video platforms and experimental things. So that could also transfer as a hard skill depending on what platforms and tech you're using. So make sure that you're documenting any, like let's just say like Photoshop, right? So let's just say, make sure that you are documenting any of those technologies that you're learning in class, and documenting all of your work that is associated with those two.
Yeah, and along that line, and I'll come back to Jonathan's question on the chat. If you are really good at editing something, right, because you're new media using time-based videos, you have intuitive understanding about how to edit things, and you build that hard skill, then you can start looking for jobs in editing industry, gaming industry. There are a lot of things that will start opening door for you. So, and you will start to want to make those lists as you build your skill. So that's why your what, why, and how should be evolving document. I typically give a worksheet saying this is how you should fill this out with the blanks in the pages, and you want to build that one for yourself and keep on changing every 2-3 months. When you get a time, just review it and see things have changed from the answer you gave like 3 months ago. And this applies to everybody in the group. So Jonathan's question, I believe Marcy answered one. The second question is, how do we find peers or professionals looking to work with the students' art-related, unrelated endeavors? Okay, there's a couple of ways you can approach. One is CVAT has a lot of student group. So you want to be aware of those. You want to participate in a group that you might find your kinship. And the other one is the university itself has a lot of student organization. That's the best way to start building your professional network outside of your professors. The reason I'm saying that is, let's say there is a geography group, right? And they are open to people from non-geographic background. And you happen to have skills that might help. You have some interest in geography, but then you are not a geographer or interested in your career goal, but you might have a skill that might help the geography groups. Then you can offer your skill to them. That will open door for them to know that you have this skill that's useful to them. So, and yeah, and there's the further roundtable will be dealing with more specific the career or professional opportunities. But I would suggest to start from a student group, go to a student organization, be active, go into the library. They might have opportunities, coming up. So always be on the lookout. Career education is university's responsibility. Career is students' responsibility. So you have to be proactive now as you start your college career, to start thinking, how am I going to capitalize all of these skills I'm learning, both hard and soft, to help you pursue your what's, your career goals, whether that may be for next year, for 5 years, from 10 years from now. What other questions? Yeah, the main beginning mentor program, Marcy already answered. Is there any other questions? Jonathan, does that answer makes any sense to you? You can either type or say or speak. I guess yes, yes, you do have to continue reaching out, because even for me, I have to continue doing that. In career, that's something, it's a lifelong pursuit until you decide to say, hell, I'm going to retire and then do nothing. Yeah, career goal is always fluid, and it's a lifelong pursuit, and you always have to be on the lookout. That is true. Online environments are not very good. Is there any other question? Otherwise, I'm going to hand it off to Marcy.
Yeah, well, I think does anybody have any more questions? I've got the chat saved, so if there's any more questions that you want answered, go ahead and add those to the chat. I do have the emails of students who would like a copy of the presentation today. So I will be in touch. I'm not sure if I can send that out today, but probably next week. If anybody would like that presentation copy, just put your email address into the chat. But our next session will be on October the 2nd, same time, same place. If you register in Handshake for the event, I send out emails as reminders with the Zoom information and all that good stuff. So if you've registered, I'll send you an email reminder. But I think this was really great. I enjoyed the conversation today. I'm so happy that you guys are in here and you're asking questions. So this is really awesome. And I'm looking forward to having our guest faculty and speakers in our next sessions as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really good, Marcy. And also, from my side, as a person responsible for the first year of students coming into CVAD, my goal is that, you guys would, and I didn't ask what year you are in your academic career, but that's beside the point. My goal is that, the students, as soon as they step in CVAD, starts thinking about career in a way that'll complement their education, and and not focus too much on what grade they're gonna get or not gonna get. Because if you focus too much on grade, then you are not focusing on the bigger picture, what might be your goal in 10 years in life. And I've said this to many times when I teach in the first year students, your grade is not the reflective of your potential for your career. If you look at successful people's biography, not everybody were A student, and being a student is important, while you are in college, but that's not indicative of how you might or may not do in your career. So this is the first career roundtable that we are starting this year ever in CVAD. And since you guys are in the first one, I would recommend that you try to come at least another one at the minimum. If not, try to come to all three, because you never know what information where you can get from whom. And you never know who might give you an idea or an advice or opportunity that will change your career. Just to give a tidbit on my job career, my first job, I got it because somebody who was selected decided to quit in 2 weeks. So I was the runner-up. But I would keep talking to the person who was offering the job, even after he rejected he didn't select me for the job. He came back to me instead of doing another search saying, hey, are you still interested? And I was like, heck yeah, I need a job, right? And that he then became my mentor. So he was my first reference when I was applying for teaching position after grad school. So you will never know who might be the one who will give you a helping hand. And that is more than just classroom education. So you want to be on the lookout. You want to be kind to people. You want to be willing to help. And you want to have your what, why, and how on your back pocket. So every time there's an opportunity to knock, you open the door. On that, I'm going to stop talking. Otherwise, I'll keep talking.
Excellent advice, Vinod. I think this was amazing. So I have everybody's email. I'll send out the presentation to the people who have put their email in the chat. But if you have any other questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, reach out to Vinod or I. But we are here to help you develop your career pathway and answer any questions that you may have, okay?
Yep.
But if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and end the session. Stay safe out there, everyone, and please enjoy your weekend, okay?
All right. You guys have a great weekend. It's a long weekend.
Thank
Thank you
you
for joining
all.
us.
Thank you. Bye.